What do they do with Tua? What do the Dolphins do with Tua? He's set to play on his fifth-year option this season. There's some people that think that he has not earned an extension because he has not gotten them where they need to go with as talented as they are, meaning win a couple playoff games, win one. How about just one?
Now, my big thing or my concern is that, hey, Chris Greer, right? He's tied to Tua. There's a lot of pressure with him in the Tua situation. It didn't work out with Brian Flores. Everybody knows Justin Herbert's better than Tua in the NFL. We know Joe Burrow's in another stratosphere. Oh no, Jordan Love's starting to look like you might want him over a Tua long term, right? And where I worry about the Dolphins is Chris Greer gonna tie himself to such a point with Tua and prove that, oh, he is good and he's the guy, that he's gonna hurt the rest of the football team, kind of to save his own ass a little bit about the Tua pick.
Once you pay Tua, though, you certainly get limited on what you can do around Tua.
So I'm not contending with the fact that Tua is going to be the quarterback. I'm not contending with the fact that he's going to sign a long-term deal. I'm contending that the structure will not be to his liking.
I would not pay Tua right now, given everything that just happened.
Yeah, so I think Tua is going to be on the market next year.
First of all, if I were advising the Dolphins, I would tell them, hey, you know how Minnesota acquired an extra first-round pick? They have the 11th, they have the 23rd because they want a quarterback. I would call them and see what they think of Tua Tagogailoa.
Oh.
As the Dolphins should draft Michael Penix Jr. and move on from Tua.
Whoa.
Giving Tua a huge deal, I think, is risky.
We're running the Dolphins. Are you ready to write that check to Tua?
100% I am.
But I am not ready if I'm running the give him $55 million a year for the next 5 years.
Option is already picked up for you, so I would make him play on that fifth-year option.
I'm a long-suffering Dolphin fan now, right? And I've got a quarterback who maybe is, but maybe isn't a legitimate franchise quarterback. I don't know. And I hear the guy come out and say, and there's nothing wrong with what he said. It's respectful. I want to be good for my family. I want to better myself as a human being. Right. Who can argue with that? You. But yes, that's right. That's right.
Dance puppets, dance. Welcome back to VCBR Feature for a Week, the Tua Era. Phinside along with my co-host, Steve Harris. Steve, well, after so much talk about Tua not signing a contract extension, the haters, the pundits in the media, Tua signing a contract extension, a records-breaking contract extension with the Dolphins. What are your thoughts on the first episode of Fins TV, episode of Fins TV? My first question to you was, what was your expectation for Tua? We are here, the season premiere 1 year later, and again, I'm going to ask you the same question. What are your expectations for Tua?
What are my expectations for him now?
Yes.
Well, first, before I go down that line, I'm going to say usually your music in the background is spot on. I'm going to call you out because it should have been more of a circus bit instead of some nice orchestra or something. But in any case, what are my expectations for him? It's time for him to step up. I mean, we've seen flashes. We've seen what he's capable of doing. It's time for him to prove that when in the big games that he is doing what it is that he's being paid to do. He needs to be a leader. He needs to set that example. And I'm not saying he's not setting an example when he's off the field, but take that next step. Show, his first day after the contract, he came out there and said it himself. So I expect him to put his money where his mouth is when he puts his cleats on and his helmet and it's game time, is to go out there and call people out when they're making mistakes. Be honest with himself. I mean, to be fair, I think he's always been honest with himself. I think he's his hardest critic. Well, not really, because he's got the media just stacked against him. But he literally is his toughest critic when it comes down to this stuff. So my expectation from him is that he's going to continue to improve, continue to identify areas that he needs to improve, and he's going to prove a lot of people wrong. That's fully what I expect from him.
Absolutely. Well, as far as expectation, if we're going to be honest, the only way we will set expectations is he wins the Super Bowl, leads the league in passing, touchdowns, and yet so many people are gonna find fault with that.
See,
You know how things are.
I think you're you're confusing goalposts moving with expectations, because every set of goalposts that have been put out there for him to kick it through, he has reached it. Move it back 5 more yards, shift it to the right, he kicks it through, and he keeps on doing it. That's goalpost reaching that the media will never, ever let him off the hook. You and I both know, everybody that's on this podcast and anybody that's listening knows that if and when Tua raises that trophy, it's going to be a credit to the cast around him. He's never going to get the credit for doing what he does. And frankly, you get whispers every now and then when he started off last season and he was in the MVP whispers, but he never gets the credit that he's really, truly due for doing what he does at a level that, frankly, no other quarterback in this league can do. Let's be real. So expectations, I'm partly still in the team no expectations, because as soon as I set my expectations high come week 7 or 8 of every season, I tend to get kicked. But what the media puts out there, that's their goalpost that they keep on moving. And I'm not talking about the Darlingtons or the people who are really, truly objective about what they're doing. I'm talking about all the clowns that you had up there on the screen, except for Kay Adams. Love you, Kay Adams.
Oh, we love Kay Adams over here.
Yeah, absolutely. Who doesn't? So,
well, without further ado, let me welcome our special guest, the hardest working man on Dolphins Nation, Jason Sarney, and Mr. Perfect Marathon. Good evening, guys.
Evening, gentlemen.
Hey, guys. I'm gonna start with Jason.
Hey guys,
Jason,
thanks for having me, Sammy.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I know you've been very, very busy. You're joining us just from Dolphins Talk. We really appreciate you making time
thanks
to
for
be
joining
with us.
us,
We really
Jason.
appreciate it. Jason, I'm gonna start with you.
Gentlemen.
Thank you. I'm gonna start with you. Again, that has to be the first question, because that was the first question ever asked on Fins TV. Was that same question? I'm gonna ask you the same question to you now. What are your expectations for Tua going forward?
Do exactly what he did last year, but more consistently against the best teams and on the road. And if he can just beat the Bills, week 2, you're going to know right away if this is going to be a real season that we're going to have the hopes. It's going to be week 2 right away. Nationally televised game. Buffalo Bills come to town. Unfortunately, the Mafia is coming to town too, so it's going to be a very 50-50 environment. I mean, that, no matter what we do, there's going to be a ton of Bills fans there. So it's going to be a very fun chance for Tua to say, you know what? I just have to play my best football. This is the year where the Bills are kind of in that, they can maybe fall off. Josh Allen's got to do a lot on his own. But Tua has to beat the Bills week 2. And if that happens, that's going to really, raise expectations, because if they don't win a playoff game this year, this whole Chris Grier 2019 and on experiment has failed. Because if they can't finally win one this year, they changed the whole build when you let Wilkins, Van Ginkel, Raekwon, Brandon Jones go. All these guys are gone. He's got a new sprinkle in, but this core of Tua, Tyreek, Javon Holland, Jaylan Phillips, Bradley Chubb that he traded for. Will these guys all be here for the next couple of years? I don't necessarily know about Holland, Chubb, Phillips. So the next 1 year, 2 years, they got to win a Super Bowl soon. But it starts with a playoff home win. That's where my expectations are, is to host a playoff game and to win one. Because if you're going on the road as a 7th seed, we've seen that movie before. I mean, if we're going into the playoffs on the road, we can't just be happy with making the playoffs anymore. You got to win this division. You got to maybe set yourself up for an ease of a lone playoff win at worst, and then let's talk.
Absolutely. I've been to the last 2 years to that Buffalo game. It's like you say, it's a 50-50 crowd. It's really, really rough. Marek, I'm gonna go with you. By now we're accustomed to what the pundits say. They're always moving the goalposts, like Steve Sarro said it. Expectations, I call them expectations. They move from MVP. Sometimes during the season they will call him to be in the MVP race at the end of the year. The Dolphins should trade him and find another quarterback. So the media keeps changing the narrative. So we're going to go to you. What are your expectations for Tua for next season?
I did a little research earlier. I was shocked The Dolphins have had over 700 quarterbacks since Marino retired. It's a crazy number. You can fact check me if you want. But my expectation with number one is the same as it was for everyone that came before him, and that's to win. Do your job, win, right? There's a whole lot of manufactured angst when it comes to Tua, to the Dolphins. And the reason is because there's reaction. There's so much reaction to, before he signed, it was what's going on? Is he going to sign? Yeah, it was never a question. He was going to sign. They were going to get a deal done. It just needed to happen, and whatever time that it would take, it needed to happen. Now we're here. I just need him to stay healthy. I need his teammates to stay healthy, and I need them to get to the playoffs. I'm echoing what Jason just said. It seems like every time he's with us, he might. I don't know that Jason's ever been wrong, because every time he says something, it's the exact truth. Get to the playoffs with a home game, have a fighting chance, and not have to go play in 30 below weather with three guys who were on their couch on Wednesday. Get the team to that point where you've got a home field advantage, where somebody else has to come into Hard Rock and have a fighting chance at advancing. I think that they do that this year. I'll make my prediction later. It'll be obvious that I know they'll do it, but my expectation for him is go out there and play ball. Continue what you did last year. Hopefully everybody stays healthy, and they should have tremendous success.
Absolutely. Steve, we talked a lot during last season about what Tua had to do to get better. Certainly he stayed healthy. That was one of the goals. He made goals. He stayed healthy. This offseason, he's lost some weight. The expectation is to be more agile, to create more of the pocket. But what else do you think Tua could do to get that next step to get better as a quarterback?
I mean, we're season 3 under the Tua McDaniel era here, right? Season 3. Am I mistaken? No, season 3. Time flies when you're having this much fun. But he just, and I don't want to be a broken record here with what we've said on previous stuff. To me, it's a lot of it is the intangibles. It's taking more control over the offense. I'm not going to lie. He doesn't give off an air of being the person in control out there. He's getting the calls. They seem to be running late into the huddle, looking at his wristband, taking a long time to get the plays, getting up to the line of scrimmage, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 seconds if you're lucky to assess things. So he and McDaniel have to improve that chemistry of knowing what's going to happen, and he needs to prove, hey, I'm reading that defense and I'm going to do these types of things. I think he does it. He knows what's going on. I think sometimes when those the lights are really bright, that let's go to that the final pass to Tyreek in Frankfurt, Germany. That there was a miscommunication there, and Tua said it was on him and everything. But that's just one of those things that those big moments. He makes that pass. Tyreek scores. They tie up the game. Who knows what happens? But a lot of the narratives that came on their trip back from Germany do not exist. So those are the types of things. Most of them are intangibles. I mean, you can't have the mindset that, okay, he proved himself that he can do a 17-week season. He did jiu-jitsu. I really do think that helped him learn how to fall better and absorb the hits differently. So it's not like all of a sudden now he's lost weight and he's forgotten how everything that he learned in the previous off season. He's going to take that and build on. He's got a foundation that he keeps on building blocks on top of. So, I mean, that's really what I'm thinking. And to Jason's point, he was talking about that week 2 game. I really think, getting way ahead of myself here, they win that game. You're killing 3 birds with 1 stone, and that's beating the Bills, beating the top team that everybody expects to still dominate the division, winning a primetime game, and that was it. Bills, top team, and primetime. Those are 3 things that Tua, frankly, and these do relate to him, that's just been over top of him as a black cloud of saying, hey, he can't get past these types of things. So Extremely good point. And the last part of this is, I know this is a Tua segment, but frankly, I think we're putting a lot of the onus of this on him. We would have had a home playoff game if we don't cave against the Titans. Did Tua do a couple 3-and-outs there at the end of the game? Yeah, absolutely. But he wasn't. He was 1 of 11 on the field during the offense, and he was 0 of 11 out there, letting the Titans go down and score and take the lead from us. So it's a team game, but I think Tua, it's his time to step up and be a leader for the entire 22 plus special teams.
Absolutely. Jason, I'm going to ask the same question to you. What do you think is that what Tua can do to take that next step into his maturation and, as a quarterback?
Find the third option consistently, not Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle, and then extend the weapons in the arsenal. Even if it's a situation where, look, if Jaylen or Tyreek miss a game here or there, who is going to pick up the slack adequately? Last year, there was just, as much as you love River Craycraft, as much as you love Braxton Berrios, last year, the third highest pass receiver and yardage maker was a tight end in Durham Smythe, and we underutilized the tight end position. So a lot of that is talent and the amount of receivers that you had at your disposal. But this year, there's so much talent. Tua on the offensive line, when there's needed time, Tua's got to be able to look off 1, 2, not there. All right, boom, slot. All right, boom, fourth option down, the middle of the field. He's got to be able to maximize the targets, maximize his weapons. So when both Tyreek and Jaylen Waddle are covered, it's not like you're taking the entire offense from a pass standpoint out of the equation. So for Tua to get a little less reliant on them, and I know that sounds ridiculous, just throw 9 out of 10 times to one of the other, right? That's not how you're going to win. It's how you're going to light up the fantasy scoreboard, but you got to go 4 or 5 receivers deep in this passing league where other defenders are going to be worried about. That's when you'll be able to hit your top guys easier in the bigger games. Now you have to start worrying about other people other than Tyreek and Jaylen, and Tua is going to find them. So it just makes the offense that more dynamic. It's an entire offensive thing, but that's my thing. Tua, other than going on the road, as Steve said, and the prime time and all those other things, find that third option, that fourth option consistently.
Absolutely. For me, it was so frustrating last season. We talked a lot about it last season in the Fins TV. As Steve mentioned it, they break the huddle. They go to the huddle and 12, 11, 10 seconds, 9 seconds, and still they're not under center. And then Tua is under center with 3 seconds, 4 seconds to go. How is going to diagnose the defense with 4 seconds to go? For me, that a lot of things are not only to us, for manage, but I digress. Matt, I'm going to go to you. The same question. What do you think are the things that Tua can do to take that next step into his maturation as a quarterback?
I think it's a joint effort between the play calling and Tua's talent as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And what I mean by that is, again, following Jason, he's absolutely right on the nose when you consider Waddle and Tyreek. I would want to throw to them too. It's somewhat like playing Madden. You've got a really good chance of success at throwing to those guys. But last year, did they throw to those guys so much out of necessity? Because Braxton Berrios is one of the least used third receivers in the league. So is there a little bit of intoxication with the speed that Waddle and Hill provide? I think that taking the next step, as well as what he can do to improve, is 100%, 95% dependent upon the plays that come in. If Hill and Waddle are doing it on the outside, you can mix it up by going to your backs more, whether it's the fullback coming out of the backfield or as an H-back, or one of those backs, Achane, Mostert, whoever. And I was driving home tonight, and I couldn't help but think about the Denver game and how many different ways the team scored. And that may have been a perfect storm of a situation, but everybody was healthy, right? That was the game that Achane kind of blew up on the scene for us as Dolphins fans as well as for the NFL. To take that next step and to be better, it's a joint effort, and it's going to require that they open up that playbook. They've got talent on that offensive side of the field. Truly, if you spread out the defense more, where they can't hone in on Hill, can't hone in on Waddle, you get the same end result, which is 6 points each, not each time down, but you get my point.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching Fins TV. Please like and subscribe.